Have you ever wondered, where does all the rubbish go? Now that we have time, maybe it's not a bad idea to research with your child. Do some research into recycling and what would be practical for your family. The general idea is to separate plastic, glass, paper, and tin cans. But your family needs may be a little bit different. And it is wonderful if the children write labels for whatever you as a family need to recycle. And it can be very simple. Plastic, separate from paper, separate from glass. Because once the situation is over and the waste entrepreneurs can collect all our recycled stuff, we would be supporting one man's small business. But it's not just the hard stuff. You may also find that you're eating slightly differently and that you tend to work more with fresh produce than pre-cooked meals or pre-prepared meals. But that brings something else. So this wonderful pot of soup has a story to tell. And that goes hand in hand with waste. And if we don't do something with that waste, especially if we eat, and the whole family is at home and we eat many times at home during the day using fresh produce, we may sit with a rather smelling situation. But if we look at this waste in a different way, and we chop off the tops, and we wait for those buds to appear, so we can start our own little veggie garden, even if it's in a pot on your balcony. But it is wonderful for children to develop respect for how long it takes for fruit and veg to grow. There may also be other waste that we can't use, but that we definitely can use to create a compost heap. When that goes hand in hand with a wonderful opportunity to dig deep, use those muscles, and cover the waste with a little bit of soil every time. It's wonderful to get your hands dirty and to just cover it so it can turn into compost, and we can use that for our newly found veggie garden. So the sense of smell and taste follows on the sense of touch and movement and balance. These senses have a direct impact on your limbic system, or the emotional part of the brain. The sense of smell and taste are the two chemical senses, and they affect the emotions immediately. And that's why one is drawn to something that smells nice, and we are repelled by things that don't smell that nice. So the expression, "you're led by your nose," is absolutely true. It's the only sense, the sense of smell is the only sense that has a direct pathway to the emotional part of the brain. And that's why eating these days are so important, and why creating meals together are so important, because it has a way of pulling families together. It gives you that sense of well-being. It boosts your immune system. It boosts a positive sense of being. It definitely enables one to feel a little bit more at home when you can smell the smells of home.
In the sun, sit in the tent
Now and the hot sun. Now and her mom and her dad are at the dam. Her mom and dad rest in the tent, but now runs and runs.
So when a mom spends time with her child, first listening to the reading, and then when he's still learning to read, she reads so he can hear the story and he can hear her enthusiasm and he can follow it without the pressure to have to read aloud. It is marvelous for the child's emotional well-being. It improves concentration, memory, and motivation to want to read more. Remember, we asked you to draw a stick figure facing the paper, and we asked to indicate where is left and right. Then we said, make a list, 2 lists. which letters are shaped to the left of you and which letters are shaped to the right of you. Let's compare our lists. To the left, the A, C, D, F, G, J, O, Q, S, and to the right, B, E, H, K, M, N, P, R, T, U, V, W, Y, and Z. Were there any exceptions? High five, well done, yes! The I and the L, because they go right in the middle. The thing with reading is that letters represent sounds. And that's why so many children are battling, because they don't realize that letters represent sounds. So when we sit and we make these letters concrete while we're talking about what is the sound that this letter makes. And maybe the same letter can make a variety of sounds, but we have a discussion. It connects in the brain. You cannot touch without moving. And the moment you smell and you taste, you use those 4 senses simultaneously. Emotions act like glue. What does glue do? It sticks stuff in memory. So the brain learns in one or two ways, either through repetition or through a highly intense experience. The more senses involved in an activity, the more intense the experience and the less repetition is needed. So when a child touches and moves and smells and tastes, it is so much easier to get that letters represent sounds. So make letters concrete using food. And you can have a discussion. Would you like to make sweet letters of the alphabet, or would you like to make savory? I'm sure it won't be bitter. And then you ask the child to butter a slice of bread, or to put whatever they've chosen to spread it on the bread. And then you take a glass, nice big one, so it fits right inside the crust, and you cut a circle. And you take another glass, it's a little bit smaller, so you can create something that looks similar to a donut. And then you cut the crust straight. Invariably there's one crust that would break, but that's okay. We're going to use those pieces. And then what have you just created? You look at one of these shapes on its own. So that shape at the bottom, second from left, would be the same sound as the one between the D and the G in dog. And then what is the next letter? And how many words do you know that starts with that letter? And then you make the G. All of this with one slice of bread. Yes, you can use different slices of bread. You could do the entire alphabet with one slice of bread. And there's a lot of licking in between. It's okay. You wash your hands before and you'll wash them again afterwards. But it increases the emotional experience of the letters of the alphabet, which enables a child to remember so much better. It's just very important that when you create these letters using food or anything else, it's important that you shape them in the correct direction. So check the direction of the letters. It's very important. That's why we want children to realize that letters shape to the left and to the right of you. And there are 2 that are shaped right on your body. There's another way that you can make letters very concrete, and that is if a child reads a recipe. Maybe they're too young to read a recipe, then you read it for them. But they can read the packets and the cans, and they can read the names of the ingredients because they know the ingredients. And you can tell them, because that's where we start with language, and once they've created those muffins, oh, the smell of the muffins says, we are home, we are together, we're going to make it. Let's work together. Let's create this homely atmosphere where children feel at home, where you feel at home, and where a love of reading is fostered every single day. Smell and taste are chemical senses that boost your immune system, boost your child's memory and motivation. if they cook with you using a recipe.